what a lovely day!
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Uncut and After Show. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you'd like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they premiere, and there's also a PayPal, Patreon and crypto link in the info box below the video. Speaking of Patreon, I'm going to do a quick shout out to all of you who do support me on Patreon, so a massive shout out of thanks and appreciation to Neo the One, Lost Cat FE, Rob W, Open Minded, Reese Pound, Del West Watson, Mike, Henrik86, Muted, Dick Earth Skeptic, TheFlatEarthChannel.com, Chris Hillman, NA Literalist, Maria Neelands, Unbelievable Productions, Blue Ridge Ranger, Rob H, Burn Fat Till My Stomach is as flat as the earth, Nathan Thompson, The Real Gabster, Windrider, Missouri Bear, Liam Nedrick, Dank, Erwin Jennisons, Abraham Mohammed, Dave Rakia Gafford, Naibai, Adrian Quintana, Skeptic936, Life is Short, Fireball X, Felix Hung, Texas Mike, Edwin Johnson, Kirsten Smith, Tina Baker, Alexander Main, and David Wayne Foster. So a massive shout out of thanks and appreciation to all of you for supporting me on Patreon. Now we are joined by a few people in the G Plus and Discord servers, so I'll raise the mic on them and you can enjoy their dulcet tones while I set up for today's live show.
Anytime someone says Newton, we know for goddamn sure he doesn't know anything about electronics. He doesn't know what a volt is. He doesn't know anything about resistance. The guy's a clown. He killed himself. I don't know. We just cannot use these things. And I've listened to QE himself say, you know what? Newton's laws of physics completely fall apart when it comes to the quantum mechanical level. And that's because we've evolved, for lack of a better term, past these ideas. Keep the good, forget the bad, right? We've gone on. So I'm listening to ballers every day talk about Newtonian physics. Not even Einsteinian, we've kind of gone on from that. But it's like, I don't think they're even evolving their understanding, for lack of a better term. And it's just nauseating because if you're going to say Newton did anything for science, the guy didn't know anything about electronics. The guy didn't know anything about charges or resistance or anything. Induction, nothing. The guy overdosed on drugs because I don't know why. He didn't want anything to do with gravity. I don't know why. He never proposed any sort of scientific theory. I have no clue why. I don't want to talk about this guy anymore. We should probably move on. But they always come back to it for some reason or another.
Because it's 30 seconds to pummel Einsteinian gravity. It's really quick and efficient to do that, so they want to cling on to the not actual force that you can think of as a force of gravity that's Newtonian. That's the only reason. And they can argue about it. Convolute it easier. That's all it is.
Well, if I'm overhearing it, and I don't know why they keep bringing it up, I'm saying you're not even keeping up to date with what we're talking about anymore. You're just regurgitating some shit we've already debunked. We're trying to move on. Don't remind me of the past. We got some fucking... You're not even talking about electromagnetism anymore. You cannot do that with Newtonian physics. No. It's over. Newtonian physics is done. We've gone on, as Richard Feynman says, and I thank QE for quoting that, because we have moved on.
Hey, Flatzoid.
Hello.
Hello.
So, physics no more longer valid? Or what?
No more. What's up, Flatzoid? How's it going, mate? You're always in text. Text fiend.
Sorry? Who's texting?
I said, Flatzoid, you're a text fiend, aren't you?
Why is it that?
I just always see you there.
Hey, did you guys listen to that QE thing with the guy Cal yesterday?
I did listen to that.
What'd you think?
Well, the first half, it was him just agreeing with every single word. And getting complimented for it, right?
Yeah. But he did throw us off guard, because we weren't expecting that. I was there when it was going on live at the arena. So it was kind of unexpected.
Neil, who is Cal? I disinterested myself from it because I didn't know who he was.
It's just some guy that came in the arena one night. And
Just a random.
yeah, he's new to
contradicted
it, but he didn't
himself,
act
though.
like a typical baller.
Well, he did and he didn't. So he said that he was new to the conversation,
It could be good.
didn't know anything about it, and then later when asked if he understood the Black Swan argument, he said yes, he was familiar with it. It's like, well, if you're new to this argument, how are you familiar with this Black Swan argument, and why are you aghast to find out that it came out in January, if you're new to the argument? Other than that, you know.
Yeah.
I think he meant he was new to the YouTube part of it.
Maybe I misunderstood.
I think that's what he was talking about.
Yeah, it's a minor thing. Maybe I misunderstood.
Yeah, no, I haven't finished that yet. I do want to get around to listening to that because I've listened to QE in the arena for a little bit of a while now, and whenever he talks to Zanuck, you know, it's just a slaughter. Whenever he talks to Kosho or Negator, any of these guys, it just never. But Cal, I have not heard ever before yet.
Just what? Didn't describe what happened.
I've never heard QE debate
No, I heard
Cal.
that bit. What you described him with Zanuck and Kosho, and you didn't describe what the issue would be if that was the case. You just said, when he's with Kosho, and then you didn't mention what. What about it?
Oh yeah, so when you hear Kosho or Zanuck or some sort of regular baller, they're going to give you one way of arguing about things. But I've listened to QE himself talk to Negator or Negator, and there can be a complete re-understanding of what they both think. But I've never heard of Cal before, ever, in my life. I just don't know where he comes from, to be honest. And so he's new to me, so I'd have to dive into it a little bit. Could be good though. I mean, that's why he posted it, so I want to listen to it.
Yeah, it's good. Good show. Quite short, considering.
I had a whole backlog of flat earthers. It's just kind of. I got the Broomy one. I got QE. There's a couple chemo videos I need to look at, but I mean, I got a whole backlog at this point.
What frustrates me is they still don't know how vision works, and they still are declaring that star rotation. I heard it yesterday again.
Yep.
The southern stars.
Well, Nathan, I don't know if you have the potentiality to create some sort of like crypto account where you can listen to the after show, but as soon as you leave, I swear to God, there's a whole different type of community of ballers that sort of wake up. Over your show, they're not going to say a word, of course, right? But when they come out to the after show, they're going to say all sorts of wild shit. And it's just comedy gold from there on out because they're going to say the star rotations have something to do with the shape of the Earth. And we'll say, no, it doesn't, because you have to be able to distinct the space from the Earth. But you would absolutely be surprised, to be honest. Or you may not be, actually.
Not at all. I've done this for 3 or 4 years. So
I've
heard it all. Yes.
Well, they're just reaching into anything that they're reaching onto any branch that actually works for their arguments, and we say the shape of the Earth has nothing to do with the sky, and we're okay with that. But they'll talk about sky rotations, and we'll go through with that and perspective and a lot of other. But when it comes to the Black Swan, particularly, they don't have a clue with how we even visualize things from a field of view, from a reference frame of looking at anything. They don't have a clue. And this is where you can pin them down, is that if we look at something like the Black Swan, something at a long distance observation, they don't understand the diffraction limits. They don't understand refraction. They don't understand the laws of perspective. They have no clue even how to look at something in its most fucking obvious way. They will talk about all sorts of craziness.
Yeah, it's comfort. They just want to verbalise their position to affirm their position. It makes them feel better. If they've verbalised how wrong we are and how right they are and their position without challenge or with limited challenge, then they feel better at the end of that.
But the thing is, you talk to them longer than 15 minutes, you realize very quickly that, holy shit, you have to go back to art school. What is perspective? You go farther. What is refraction? There's no R value. There's no radius. It all has a differential of a flat Earth that just completely makes sense. If you have sinking refraction, you must have looming refraction. The difference is a flat Earth. You go to diffraction limits, aka the visual limits of what you can perceive. The ball Earth has so many different struggles.
Yeah. Well, if you were on their side of
So
the
I
argument,
can't help them.
yeah, but wouldn't you brace against it if you were on their side and that was your fundamentalist religious viewpoint? You'd want to verbalise how wrong we are when we point out that perspective is part of our vision, and they say no, it's geometry only, until we point out they haven't got a geometric horizon.
No, I that's the amusing part of it. And at the end of the day, the amusing part of it is seeing how they figure their way out of this fucking cage they found themselves in. Because when you ask them a little bit about it, they find out very quickly for themselves, oh my god, there's sinking refraction, there's looming refraction. What's the differential? It's a flat Earth. Oh, what is black swan refraction? They don't know. They do not know half the arguments that's even presented to them to even engage in some sort of meaningful back and forth. No, they don't. Talk with them a little bit. And that's why, Nathan, before we started the show here, or before you came in, is we wanted to say, listen, we miss the days when ballers would come on here and expose themselves for what they don't know, because half of them do not have a clue, to be honest.
Yeah, but they've got wise to it,
And
right?
that's the funny part.
Got wise to it, though. Nobody wants their belief verbalised and then taken to pieces by me. Nobody wants that. So they'll wait till I sod off and then they'll just verbalise it. Well, that's much easier on them. But they've got wise to the fact that they'll have their fundamentalist religious zealotry taken to pieces here. Well, that's fine by me. I get a much more relaxing show each day.
I kind of like put it like, say this happened with Jesus and my belief in Christianity. I kind of understand why they act the way they do.
Hey, 10th.
Good morning.
Hello.
Interesting that they're supposed to have a curve, and we don't see a curve. We're supposed to have rotation, but we have no motion. And a violation of a law of gas next to an infinite vacuum, and somehow it doesn't fill the available space. Right there, those three is enough to bury them if they were honest.
Yeah, well, even on their geometry now, they don't have curved lines.
Yeah, that's right. They made
So how do they
curve
get a sphere?
straight now.
They don't.
Yeah.
They don't. It's the end of the line. Globe model.
I mean, this is-
Well,
mathematically.
you can reimagine math. They've
Well, that's what I say.
reimagined all the math that you've given them.
Yeah, it's set in stone now. And we've debunked it. We've made the mathematics untenable. So you can't use R, you can't bend light at the rate of R, if you can't measure R. If you don't have a geometric physical horizon, you've got nothing to block boats and buildings. It's the end of the line. Game over. It's all been exposed. Now, whether or not the fundies who come here get to reaffirm their religious zealotry in order to keep their cognitive dissonance intact, well, that's their problem. I'm not really that concerned about it, if I'm honest. Now, I know there's other people on the circuit that are deeply concerned about it, like Spurs, but I'm just not that guy.
I've got a little story that happened yesterday that might have a little bit of symbolic meaning to why the ballers don't think and just react.
Did you say symbolic?
My wife and I went.
Symbolic.
Yeah, just symbolic. Well, it's actual in my mind, but I'm going to be careful until I tell the story and see what you guys say. So my wife and I, we go out to do some errands, and it's around lunchtime, and she likes this one restaurant, and we go to the to-go, window, and we order. And we ordered something for me that was just under $9, and something for her that was around, $6, almost $6. So, that's almost $15, right around there. And we go to the window and they go, $20, please. And we said, $21. Look, we just ordered this and this. That's almost $15. How is it $21? And this young lady with a mask, who you could barely hear what she was saying, pushed out the receipt and, well, it says right here, $21. And I said, well, I know it says right there, $21, but there's a mistake, because it can't be $15 worth of food and almost $6 worth of tax. And she just looked at me with a stare, and she goes, I'll be back. So she comes back, she holds the receipt out again and says, look, it's right here, $21. I said to myself, is she a parrot or what? I go, no, I know it's $21 on that paper, but our order is just under 9 and around 6, so that's about $15. Are you telling me California tax is almost $6 more? Let me get managers, frustration on their face. Plus, twice we asked her to take her mask off so we could understand what she was saying. Manager comes, says, sorry, we doubled your order on one of the orders, that's why. So our mistake. So they gave us the extra order and charged us 15 plus tax. And my wife and I look at each other and say, that girl wasn't thinking. That girl was just trusting that receipt. Whatever the receipt said, no matter what. She didn't know what 9 and 6 were. But this is why I said symbolic to ballers. You're talking about perspective, geometry, all these things. Instead of them thinking about what it actually means, they go to, hey, but it says here in my pseudoscience book is round.
Yeah, we have
Brilliant.
We had a show called Little Britain, and it had a sketch in it where I think she's working in a bank, but this girl who's answering questions to customers, and all she ever does is look with a blank stare at the customer, tap on her keyboard, and then say the catchphrase. And the catchphrase is, computer says no. So, can I have a loan? Can we go through the application process? Tap, 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 tap. Computer says no. Yeah, but I've got very good credit. Computer says no.
Wow, exactly. Yeah, people just not thinking. The question is why they're not thinking.
Type of education
Absolutely.
that they've had.
There you go.
Western education.
I think the big resistance has to do with what Mark Sargent talks about.
Oh, shout out to
many,
Mark Sargent.
many things would go down the tubes. The education system. A lot of jobs would be lost.
Shout out to Mark Sargent. I can't say why, but he knows why. Big shout out to you, Mark Sargent, if you're listening. Mark Sargent, a genuinely good guy. Like a genuinely good guy. I don't know.
But think about it. What would they do, Nathan? They would have to change a lot of things.
What would who do? I was off on a tangent about
Society.
Mark Sargent.
Oh, I know. I was hearing Mark Sargent. Next thing I know, what would they do?
QE, or not QE, Nathan, would you say genuinely Mark Sargent is a guy? Maybe more precise.
What do you mean by that?
He's a guy. He's absolutely a guy.
A guy? As in, are you questioning his gender?
No, he's just a dude that says things that absolutely does say things.
I see. You're asking if he's just some dude. Yeah, he's just some dude.
There you go. That's all I was trying to. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, but isn't everybody some guy if they're a guy?
Yeah, technically.
But there are some guys that are more.
There's nothing out of the ordinary. There's nothing out of the ordinary about Mark Sargent. I've met him, and I've online. I've met him in person, but most of my interactions with him have been online. And he's just a regular dude. Very motivated to do what he's doing, focused, but at the same time, very kind-hearted, very generous. Just a good guy. Just a nice guy. He gets unbelievable amount of crap, and totally unwarranted.
Well, I believe most of that, yeah. I mean, I don't know. He puts himself out there as being this and that, and for better or for worse, he is He is someone. I will say that.
Well, it's almost like a cryptic talk here. What do you mean he is someone? He is someone.
He's become a somebody. He's almost attained celebrity status. At least in
he is a celebrity, yeah.
Right. Well, we're in a small pond here, but let's not get too ahead of ourselves. But you see what I'm saying in terms of what I'm trying to allude to, right? Well, because of that, he's going to come under fire. But does that change that he's just some dude doing his thing, as opposed to some government agent shill here to ruin the flat Earth or whatever? I don't know what nonsense is commonly making the rounds about Mark Sargent. I never paid any attention to it to begin with, but I know he gets a lot of crap, and he's just a really nice guy.
I don't.
Well, that's what I would agree. He is. He's a good guy. He gets a lot of crap, especially from Flat Earth, but also ballers give him a lot of shit. I don't know, but at the end of the day, he is just a guy, and I think for better or for worse, that's all we should take him as he presents himself to be.
I mean, there's been a couple of times that I've defended Mark a bit, racking my brains for the shit he takes, and I've remembered one of the things, and I got in touch with him about it. So he went on, I can't remember which British national TV thing he did, but he went on British national TV, and I thought he did a very good job. And I got in touch with him after I'd watched it and went, good job. Very off the hand comment. And then a couple of days go by, and all I see is him getting grief. He should have done this, he should have said that, his backdrop wasn't right, his blah, 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 on and on and on, from his own side. And I'm like, what the hell, man? He's on national TV with an astronaut, and in a way that didn't get him ridicule for challenging the astronaut in such a way that would be deemed offensive. He didn't do that.
I see your point right there.
Right, he did it in such a way, it was really clever on Mark's part, how he approached it. And he got nothing but shit from his own side for it. And I got in touch and I'm like, this is absolutely unfair. I think you did an exceptional job. I don't care what anybody else says. And just ignore all the flack you're getting from your own bloody side. You did an excellent job. But, that's just one example. I'm not talking necessarily examples of the grief he gets from Globers, because we all get that. But, there is a certain degree of...
No, yeah, I hear you. Absolutely.
Do you remember the last thing he said, though, on that TV show? He had the guy saying, let's defund NASA and open up something like hospitals or something.
Yeah. That was Philip Schofield said, let's forget
dream.
about NASA, let's put it all into hospitals.
This sounds like Monday morning quarterbacks after their favorite team lost, and they're sitting there after watching it and saying, I could do a better job.
Yeah, but we didn't lose. It was a win.
No, I'm saying this is the dichotomy I'm trying to share is that the sports fans get together on Monday and talk about their team, whether win or lose. They should have run up the score, or they lost because of this. They just insert themselves in as some figurehead when they're just a fan.
Armchair quarterback, I think is the term, right?
Well, that's one word, but also Monday morning quarterback, so they got several.
Fair enough.
No, armchair quarterback is me when I'm watching football on Sunday. Monday morning quarterback is the next day guy.
Well, then you're not even watching real football because they use their feet.
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Live. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you'd like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are live. There's also a PayPal, Patreon and crypto link in the info box below the video. Most importantly, if you'd like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the nature of Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel. So please share the show on Facebook and Twitter. And one last time, if you're new to the channel or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button to keep up to date with the Flat Earth debate. Now we are joined by Flatzoid, 10th Man, and Arwin, together with a whole bunch of people in Discord. So welcome one and all.
Hey,
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, good morning.
Welcome.
Please don't swear. Any signs of a physical geometric sphere-edge horizon, formerly known as Earth curvature?
not from East St. Louis.
Well, it is getting kind of moist and all, so I think it's back.
Are we listening to a private conversation that you're having there, Alvin, or what?
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't matter. Any signs of axial rotation?
Sorry.
The wind is blowing very hard.
Like the satellites aren't doing their job in the bush today. Keep losing reception.
Yeah, you're quite clear.
No axial rotation, Nathan. None whatsoever. You would be able to measure it and feel it at 15 degrees that they're talking about doesn't fare out.
Yeah, as soon as we point out that they're supposed to have a 15 degrees an hour deviation as Earth rotates underneath stuff, they start justifying why we don't see 15 degrees an hour and why stuff isn't drifting at all to prove it spins. So yeah, they don't have what they're supposed to, which is 15 degrees an hour deviation as Earth rotates underneath stuff to prove it's spinning. Of course, that would shorten flight times, and you'd have drones drifting away from you at 15 degrees an hour. 1,000 miles an hour on the equator. Hey, Chocolate, how's it going?
Chop.
Well, on this,
But I
chocolate.
saw the Earth spin on TV.
Oh yeah, what, when
Well, that-
Superman flew round it?
It's funny. It's funny how they actually argue against the 15 degrees, except when it comes to bullets.
And footballs. Don't forget about those.
Oh, that's right, footballs. Thank you.
And hurricanes, because they don't understand what coriolis effect is.
Yeah, and water going down the toilet.
Again, because
Wow,
they don't understand
they're coming in
coriolis. That's
fast
right.
now.
That's right.
They're throwing that away at least.
They
There's no-
actually showed the hurricane from a satellite this morning. Earth looked very small.
Oh yeah.
But was it rotating by any chance?
Talking of rotating,
No, it wasn't.
have any of you ever seen Robert Bassano's little snippet where they've got a mission? I think it's, I don't know what they're doing. They're out doing something in the shuttle, and the rendering of the Earth beneath them is static, and then halfway through it starts turning. They turn it on. Has any of you seen that?
Yeah, it's quite an old video.
Yeah, but I just happened to have seen it by chance because Robert Bassano, or Planete Veritas is the name of the YouTube channel, happened to expose it with his typical exasperated, "What the hell's going on here? They've started the Earth turning in the CGI. It wasn't moving, now it is." Classic stuff. Yeah, it's all fake. Speaking of fakes, go on.
No, I kind of recall that. I just can't. I want to say I did see it, but I remember hearing about it. But I would love to see that old clip if it's possible.
And it was funny because he realized it midway through his live stream. It was hilarious.
Yeah,
They
he's
discovered
showing it in the live stream, but then he's like, "What the hell?" And then he rewinds and looks at it. He's like, "The Earth's just started turning in the middle of this stream. What the hell?"
So funny.
That's great.
Speaking of fake space, any evidence you can have gas pressure without the necessary antecedent of a container for all the religious fundamentalists who believe the sky is a vacuum called space?
You need containment for any kind of pressure.
Without the container, there can be no pressure. Conspiracy Cats, 2019.
Yeah, this is an impossibility. They're stuck with this one, just like the black swan, because when it comes to demonstrating it, they have to have a container to demonstrate what would happen without a container.
You can't even measure pressure without a container.
Right.
You need a container to measure the pressure.
You can't even get a vacuum without the container.
So Hillbilly Blue Ball shows up with containers to prove we don't need a container.
They all do it. Any evidence?
That's so funny.
So they're just container deniers, really.
Yeah, sort of.
Container deniers.
They've got a fundy belief in a sky vacuum, and that has no containment. So therefore, they kind of ipso facto have to deny the second law of thermodynamics and the antecedent consequent relationship that is gas pressure and containment. Yes, Arwin.
Show me the container.
The antecedent to the gas pressure we're breathing. If there wasn't a container, we wouldn't have any gas to breathe.
Show me the dome. Show me the dome.
I don't know if there is a dome. I don't know what the container is. I just know there is absolutely, unequivocally containment. There must be. Any evidence of the distance to the sun?
I can't see it. Too cloudy.
That's not
The
what
best
I
thing
meant.
to do in this situation is ask the baller how they calculated it. And if you ask any baller, they will never tell you how they could do it. It just will say it's done.
Well, we know how they did it, so that's okay.
But it has something to do with our radius?
Well, of course they assume R.
Yeah, well, that's the formula.
I heard them say they triangulated.
With what? With the rate? Where does the radius
they'll talk
of
about
the Earth that?
They'll say parallax.
Yeah, but they can calculate it, but they can only do it based on a presupposition. Vantage point. A model they have to presume in order to triangulate that. And then they still have no proof because they still use the presupposition to calculate it.
Precisely.
Well said. Well said, Arwen.
Can I ask you guys this? If Copernicus was wrong...
Okay, don't hang on.
Sorry, go ahead, mate.
When their model doesn't match reality, Arwen, where are they left with?
Sorry, I didn't catch that.
I said, said about the model, but then when their model doesn't match reality, i.e. the black swan, what are they left with then?
Well, they're left with a flat Earth model straw man that they can attack, and they do. So where's the dome?
We don't have a model.
Where's the edge? Ugh.
Yeah, exactly.
How about the Southern Cross? That doesn't make any sense on a disc. Ugh.
I thought you were going to say something.
Can I make one point? Can I make the point that if Copernicus got the math, aka the distance to the sun, if he got that wrong, and Tycho Brahe got that wrong, and these guys apparently are huge, influential pinnacles of mathematics in and of themselves, if they're all wrong, how is some baller on Discord or on a YouTube channel ever going to convince me otherwise? Because I don't think they even know the math that actually has anything to do with the measurement at all.
Have you heard the story about
pulling it out of their ass?
Tycho Brahe is a really interesting character. So he objected.
Yeah.
They reverse engineered his objection into the absolutely ginormous lights, which I find fascinating. That part of the narrative, it might not be true, might not even have existed for all I know, it doesn't matter. But part of their story is a dude saying, hang on a second, if you're suggesting that based on a... Bear with me, my friend. If you're basing this assumption of these astronomical distances on a presupposed R value, then what we will have in the form of these lights is absolutely enormous, ginormous bodies. They'd be massive. Yeah. And what they do is they take that and reverse engineer it into absolutely enormous lights in the sky. That's why you end up with things like Betelgeuse shown in comparison to the sun being, I don't know, orders of magnitude bigger. Well, that's based on a reverse engineering of Tycho Brahe's objection that the lights would have to be massive. So they are massive now, which is part of the bullshit of assuming an R value and pushing these lights out to astronomical distances as they've done. So you have the net effect of they've got to be massive then. Well, then they are massive.
Wow. That's just typical.
Well,
you know,
the thing is,
the earlier
Sorry, go ahead.
engineers of the whole heliocentric model, the continuation of the modeling of it all is basically based on the objections of the earlier designers. They're like, no, that's ridiculous. That can't be right. And then they're like, no, that means it's right. Yeah.
Yeah. Take the objection, turn it into a positive. Why not? The person who exposed that to me it was ages ago. It's probably about 5 years ago. It was Jaren. So Jaren going through all of his old history books. So he's got some ancient books. He used to sell books. And he basically went through it from what, I don't know if it was primary source, but certainly very old information, very old books and literature, and just said, here's the backstory to Brahe. And you're like, bloody hell. At the time, I was fairly new to it. And I was like, my God, they even document how nonsensical their model is. But at the same time, we say it here, they make it clear it's a model. And when you look into it in any depth, the people who are telling you it's a philosophy and a model tell you it's a philosophy and a model.
Well, the thing is, like, if you talk to a baller in 2020, if they come on this channel or any other sort of flat earth debate channel, they're going to have to explain why they believe what they believe. And all a flat earther has to do is say, hey, look, okay, Copernicus had an idea, Brahe had an idea, Kepler had an idea. You are literally debating these guys when you say they're wrong and it's 93 million miles away. So if you want to show your math for that, go ahead. But most of them have no clue. They won't ever show their math, which is why they're probably talking out of their ass. And I've just learned that just talking to them.
In the book called Kings Dethroned by Gerard Hickson, on page 3, it talks about Hipparchus and triangulation and how he got it wrong. And it couldn't be measured. So because it can be measured, he said, well, they must be far, far away. And then it says something to the effect that all his followers, the people you guys are all mentioning, made a series of blunders because the very essence of their source didn't have it right, which was Hipparchus. So astronomy got it wrong. All these measurements of Earth radius is all wrong. I'll just read it a little bit here. Such was the extraordinary conclusion arrived by Hipparchus, and that statement of his lies at the root of astronomy and has led its advocates into an amazing series of blunders from that day to this. The whole future of the science of astronomy was affected by Hipparchus when he said the heavenly bodies are infinitely distant. And it's just a nice little book. I think Robert Bassano has a YouTube show where he reads the whole book. So you can, if you can't buy it or find it, you can go to his channel.
Can we move on?
Infinitely distant? That's another way to put it.
Well, astronomical.
Yeah, but infinite.
Well,
infinite distance is kind of already physically self-contradicting. But
yeah, it is self-contradicting. No, they're going to apply Kepler's third law. Let's just move on. Any scientific evidence of gravity?
Oh, no. Oh, I did half my early bird show about that. Balls just kept on piling onto it, asserting Cavendish and all of that. And I'm just telling them, look, you don't know what gravity is. In physics, nobody knows what gravity is. They just let people speculate about it. But Einsteinian pseudo-Riemannian force space, you can't even tie it into physical reality anymore. You can't. They can just show you how to imagine what it's supposed to be, but there is no actual thing it officially even is in the real physical world anymore. It's just left open. And it's mind-boggling.
Go on, Flatside.
The concepts itself debunk itself.
What, the fact that it's a concept?
Concepts, not just one, by the way.
Right. Did you want to add something, Neil?
I don't even understand.
I was reading something. It says Earth appears to be traveling through the debris of ancient supernovae.
Okay.
It's just a bunch of bull crap, that's all. It says radioactive dust deep beneath the ocean waves suggest that Earth is moving through a massive cloud left behind by an exploded star.
All right. Yeah.
Where'd they get this information?
The fiction section of the library.
Just heliocentric
Oh,
trick.
boy.
We're a ball flying through a vacuum.
Yeah.
Why is it that flat Earth is the only alternative explanation or argument against it? Flat Earth is the only one arguing against that, by the way.
Well, they say we're moving to an interstellar cloud made up of gases. How could there be gases?
Flat Earth is the only one because it's the only plausible one. Like,
or the only ones that are skeptical anymore.
They want us to
They'll
argue
present you
about what we're
something called
moving
science.
through. They want us to argue about what the hell we're moving through while not proving that we're moving at all.
Yeah,
It's
beg the question of space.
Exactly.
Yeah, beg the question of space. You've only got to look at the Flat Earth Society and their Flat Earth controlled opposition narrative in terms of them having a disk flying up through space at 9.8 meters per second. They want to retain gravity and they want to retain space.
But don't you know, guys, that you can look at what's going on right now and project that into the past? Don't you guys get this? Come on.
What are you babbling about?
I
Hello,
don't
Paul, by the way.
understand.
What are you talking about?
Well, I mean, we see gravity working, we see chemistry going on, we see how different nuclear fusions work. We can see how things are
don't
operating
scattergun us.
now.
Hold on. Why are you scattergunning us with things that are real? With the idea that we see gravity working? What's all this about? What's the strapped on other things that are actual and you could demonstrate with a
well,
go on.
I'm saying I can understand how things are working in the present, and I can take that and project into the past how things happened in the past.
Yeah, that's what you said in the first place, and I'm like, what are you babbling about?
Well, it's
I'm just curious, when did you see nuclear fusion?
Is nuclear fusion real?
All right, let's not get into the sideline tangent of the other things he brought up, right? Paul's obviously been listening to Ballers. Yeah, okay, well done. You've obviously got someone to bite on that red herring, Paul. Percent. Yeah, what is this gravity that you're talking about, and where do we see it?
Things fall down and go boom, boom. That's what it is. And it causes planets to form. It causes the sun to create nuclear fusion. It causes all this stuff.
You've seen
look at that. I can see gravity effect.
Hold on. One step at a time. When have you seen gravities forming through gravitational accretion? When have you seen that? You didn't say that, but that's what you're talking about. When have you seen that?
Well, I'm projecting on how gravity works now. I'm projecting that into the past on how the solar system formed. That's what I'm doing.
But you said you'd seen it.
Your kid disagreed.
See, Paul, all the pseudoscience is even bothering Lily.
He said he saw it. Did I mishear? He said he'd seen it and then listed off a few other things he'd seen.
Yeah, he said he's seeing planets forming through gravity.
Well, there's this cloud out there that has these stellar nurseries in it. And it's gravity.
Hold on. You're talking about the Hubble pictures of the pillars of creation now, aren't you?
Yeah, that's it. You got it, Nathan. You got it.
Hubble picture.
So that you think that picture, right? Which, for a start, the picture presented to the public is nothing like the picture that is claimed to be taken by Hubble, also known as Sophia. Look into it. Anyway, that picture isn't doing anything. It's a static picture.
Shout out to Robert Pisano.
Yes, 2 shout-outs. Right, that's true. Hold on. Yeah, the Sophia hoax. The whole idea that we have this... We know it's a fake place. We know there's no satellite in space, because space is fake. You can't have gas pressure without a container. So what is taking the pictures? Well, Sophia takes the pictures. Shout out to Robert Pisano. Second one in one show.
Planes.
Paul's gone quiet. He's given up on that nonsense, it seems.
No, actually, it's Jesse was getting crazy, and I was like, I didn't want you guys to hear this. So,
okay, the pillars of creation.
She's allergic to pseudoscience, man.
Let's get back to Paul. So, pillars of creation. You see something happening in this static image?
No, I just see a picture, but I'm extrapolating on how gravity works here on Earth, and I'm saying that's what's happening up there.
Okay, so that's 2 for 2. Other than your extrapolation, when have you seen gravity?
Things fall down and go boom, boom, Nathan. That's what I'm saying.
Helium balloons don't go down and go boom, boom. Neither does gas, right? The gas that's created at ground level, that makes its way up to the top of Everest now, doesn't it? It's going up.
Can't we find one more thing that goes up?
Hydrogen.
Why? Do you need more?
Actually, most gases
I don't
go up.
know.
That would depend on where you're talking about. If you change the medium, certain things will go up.
Vapor.
Right?
Your gas doesn't go down, go boom boom. Let's move on. Any
Right,
single
like shooting stars, right, Nathan? They will go
Oh
up.
god, here we go.
Have you ever seen
Arwin, fine.
gas stand still?
Hold on, go ahead, Arwin.
Have you ever seen?
Hold on, Flatsword. Go ahead, Arwin.
Shooting stars go up. You witnessed it yourself.
What
Remember
are
in
we
the
calling up?
The star, the falling star. Or
From my
shooting
vantage
star.
point, something came from the horizon and ended up above my head. Does that mean that it's necessarily going in an upward trajectory? It could be going across and just appear to go up based on perspective from my vantage point. I might have said up. I have to go back and listen to how I phrased it before I start getting claimed to be a liar.
Don't do it. You just
It's
proved the
definitely
globe.
not.
According
It didn't
to,
end up beneath your feet, at least. You know.
No, it didn't.
No.
What's it? What did I watch? What was that light that I witnessed? I'm not saying you should know what I witnessed, but I don't know what it was. How am I supposed to know its trajectory?
According to Spurs, you just proved the globe when you say that.
Oh God.
There's a Kamehameha.
Yeah, let me end this by saying I've walked down the Hollywood Hall of Fame stars on the ground. I've stepped on these stars. So here.
Okay, lights in the sky.
That's another type of falling star.
Yeah, okay.
I'm trying to give a segue so we get out of here.
They've been had.
Most of them do
fallen.
fall.
Hey, I want to make a statement just to kind of borrow from Anthony. Up is for time moves more slowly.
Oh my god. What are you babbling about now?
Can we move
Time
on?
moves?
Oh god.
No, please.
What is Paul
Are
talking
we in
about?
Narnia right now?
Let Paul answer. What are you talking about, Paul? What are you on
Oh,
about?
I don't know. We don't.
Time
You're gonna drag us in, Paul. I've heard it before.
If time dilation,
Dealing with children.
why
It's
astronauts
fair
wear
enough.
watches?
We'll come back to that if I remember, which I probably won't. Any single viable hypothesis from any of the fields
Thank
of
you.
astronomy, cosmology, or astrophysics?
No, still
Thank
waiting on
God,
Dr.
and
Vicky.
no.
Not yet.
Possibility.
Not ever.
You don't know that.
Well,
I
okay,
put out
before
polls
every
twice
They
flutter,
might
there's
a
start
day.
a,
trying at
before
some point and then
every
figure out
flutter,
their
there
entire
says no.
opinion.
Can you not hear each other
Today-
talking? Hello? One of you's got to yield when there's two of you talking.
Please.
Yeah,
Healed,
Arwen,
boy, healed.
I
Arwen,
Check
put
it
can I
a
out.
help the
request.
10th man
conversation?
steps in.
Well,
You
it was. I
should.
sensed the
Okay,
golden
you start
silence.
talking.
Right, everybody
I
shut
took
up. We've got
advantage of it.
complete audio chaos at the moment. Right, I'm going to nominate Arwin because he's the first person I heard. Then the guy in, was it Sinclair or something? Then Sinclair, then 10th man. Go ahead, Arwin.
Not a gay,
Yeah.
not a guy. Read. No, okay. Go ahead, Arwen.
Okay, thank you for that. So yeah, no viable hypothesis just yet. There may not ever be, but you can't really tell. At some point, they might decide to go for it after all, and thereby disproving their entire field. So
Fair
maybe
point.
they'll be forced to.
Plenty of natural phenomenon, but they just don't have any viable hypotheses as yet. They might. They might figure out the cause of a supernova or something, a phenomena that they observed. Who knows?
Well, I can.
Yeah, but what I meant is that they might actually go out and start to
Yeah, they
really try
might
to
build it.
interact, vary, and manipulate. That
Yeah,
was
that's
Oh,
what
they're
I
going to
meant.
build an enterprise and reach the stars. Yeah, yeah.
You know, I have
But at
seen
that
them
point, it wouldn't be
calculate-
astronomy.
No, it's not
It wouldn't
naming
be
stars.
astronomy at that point. At that point, it would be a different science.
Yeah, all astronomers do is
Another
name
science.
stuff. Give it names.
At that time, at that point, it would actually be science. Till then, here we are.
True.
I
Right.
actually
Looking at
think.
stuff.
Hold on, 10th man.
I
Hold on.
actually-
Sinclair, he's waiting in the sidelines as well. Then you, 10th man. Go ahead, Tim.
Yeah, we have to
Thank
have.
God.
Not you, Owen. You've had your
talking
time.
at the same
Ugh.
time, just like
The G Plus panel are taking liberties today, audience. I'm so sorry. Go ahead, Sinclair.
Not today, Arwen. Okay, so what I'm going to try to tell you is that if you've ever debated ballers, of course you all have, is that when it comes to astronomy, they're going to talk about star rotation. Now, star rotation has everything to do with what the objects that we see that apparently appear to be light, what they're doing. Now, does anything that they appear to be doing have any sort of reflection on the shape of the Earth? What do you guys think?
What do you mean objects?
I'm not going to give my answer, but I want to hear a panel here.
What do you mean objects?
Well, if we see some sort of light in the sky that appears to be rotating in some sort of cardinal direction, they always will use that against us. I have no clue why, because it has nothing to do with the shape of the Earth, but they will always use it for some reason or another.
I'm seeing if you've got any physical assumption bias, and then we go to 10th man. But you said an object. If I shine a torch
okay, let me do this. Well, 1 second, Nathan. Before you go to 10th, because I want to hear everybody here. From my experience is that when you say that space has nothing to do with the shape of the Earth, right? I've said it as any flat earther would, that they'll always say star rotation is absolutely, you better be damn sure it's proof of that we live on a spherical Earth. And I say, no, we don't live in the sky. But you get into perspective, you get into all these different sort of abstract ways of looking at what we're perceiving. And that's why I just wanted to gauge the question, because I do want to hear Arwen and 10th Man and everybody.
Okay, but when they're asserting that, you have to pin them down to how. So I'll try it with you. How is it asserted that the lights in the sky prove we're on a spinning sphere? How is that? How does one link to the other?
Well, the proof that I have that they're not actually doing any sort of measurement is that they're doing some sort of optical, if they're looking through a telescope, for instance, they're not triangulating anything. They're calling it a measurement, which has nothing to do with what they say it is, because the real premise is the calculation. And then when they calculate things, they're using math, and math can absolutely prove anything under the sun.
It can literally prove
any sort of realm you want to
You're missing my point.
But they've grounded themselves in that.
You're missing my point. What is it that they are trying to achieve when they do their calculations? How do you link the spinning ball with the sky? How is this done by them? I can tell you if you don't know.
I'll shoot my shot here. You tell me if I'm wrong. They will say star rotations. I know you know as well as I do. It proves their globe. You know.
Yeah, but, okay.
So
how would they achieve
understanding
that? Yeah. How would they go from that, though? How do they assert the premise that the stars prove we're on a spinning ball? Do you know how they assert that as a claim to be logical consistency? Not. It won't be. It's a logical fallacy. But if you don't know, I'll just tell you.
Well, all I know is that whenever they talk about the stars, they say it has nothing to do with the shape of the Earth, and you're appealing to perspective, which we absolutely know that you have you have counterclockwise and clockwise rotations, and it's all spinning the same direction, east to west, regardless of where you're at on the Earth. Now, their argument seems to conclude when they ever compare that with a flat Earth Gleason's map type model, which no flat earther that I know would ever stand by. So if I dismiss it, hand wave it, and I say that has nothing to do with the shape of the Earth, yada, 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 I am now found in a position where I have to say that, yeah, you're just stargazing. You're just doing astronomy that has nothing to do with the Earth.
Yeah, you're still missing what I'm asking. I'm asking.
Are you saying
how would
I'm asking you and everybody else. I want to hear the opinion. I love it.
Yeah, I haven't get a chance to actually tell you how they would assert that it proves that the Earth is spinning yet.
Can you please do that, Nathan?
Sure.
Please, thank God.
Question.
Say again, Arwen.
Well, the guy here on the Discord, he's not answering your question. He's just starting new stories again.
Sure.
Nathan asked you 3 times.
Arwen, you're not even in Discord. Please, Nathan, go ahead if you have an explanation.
What I was trying to establish is if you understand how they would assert that as a claim to be globe proof. The way they would assert it to be a claimed globe proof is with an affirming the consequent formal logical fallacy, which goes as follows.
Exactly.
If the Earth is a sphere, then I will observe star rotation. I observe star rotation, therefore Earth is a sphere. That's what they would assert to claim that it's proving the Earth is a sphere. So you have to actually pin them down to tell you how it's supposed to be proving Earth's a sphere, so then you can point out their 2 fallacies. The first being a begging the question fallacy. If Earth's a sphere, well, that's the premise you're trying to prove. So you're assuming it in your P statement when they say if Earth's a sphere, we'll see star rotation. And we do see star rotation, therefore Earth's a sphere. So it's a begging the question, affirming the consequent, formological fallacy.
Yeah. Well, I'm okay. So whenever I talk to flat earthers,
are they the ones telling you?
Sorry.
Oh, are they the ones telling you
No,
that
go ahead. I
the
want to
star
hear you.
rotation?
Try once more, Chocolate. Try once again.
All right. Are they the ones telling you? Maybe I didn't hear it clearly. Are they telling you that the stars have nothing to do with the shape of the Earth?
No. That's where you have it wrong. As the flat earther, I'm saying everything we see in the sky has nothing to do with the shape of the Earth. Now, I can get into perspective and how we optically apparently see things, right? I can play that with them. But they're going to come to some sort of weird, abstract conclusion that we live in a sphere Earth that has an axis, yada, yada, yada. You know it as well as I do. So I'm just asking the panel here, and anybody can chime in, is that I'm saying that, listen, if I know the Earth is flat, the Earth has nothing to do with the shape of what, like, because we could see a sphere. We could see a celestial sphere. There's no way of disproving that. That's unfalsifiable. I do not know why they keep throwing this shit at us.
Yeah,
what is a sphere? The light?
Yo, Nathan told you it's affirming the consequent fallacy.
I
They're coming
agree.
in with confirmation bias.
I think that's the main takeaway from this whole thing, is that it absolutely is a fucking fallacy through and through. Now, I'm tired of hearing it, but it's constantly used against us, and I will explain to them why they're wrong. They get mad at hearing it, but, that's just the situation of the matter.
All right, go on, Owen.
Why do they...
Chocolate. Go on,
Sorry,
Chocolate.
go ahead, Owen.
I think it was actually you, Chocolate.
I was going to say, well, according to them, why are these things in the sky moving?
They don't have a clue. They're still stumped on fucking Bob
No,
Nodell's
what do you mean they don't have a clue? They're
it's not
telling
even
us that these things in the sky are moving because we're on a spinning ball.
Yeah.
Well, then just ask them, why is it when we get off the spinning ball, those things are still moving?
Exactly. So when you say yada, yada, yada and all that stuff, what you mean is that's where they beg the question and assume that the Earth is spinning as a part of their premise. Well, the premise is the very thing they're trying to prove. So that's their begging the question when they say, well, if Earth's a sphere...
Logic.
Well, can I shoot this shit off, you guys, just for the sake of argument, because I've seen it in my own experience. Whenever they try to go into a space, they want to appeal to a different sort of inertial reference frame. They will never go to say, hey, if you're above the Earth, right, you have nothing to do with Earth's rotation. You are in an independent reference frame. Therefore, the sky, aka the stars, should not be rotating. That's just logical deduction. Now, I don't know where they find themselves at this point, to be honest, because I've never heard a baller get to this point, because they never even want to argue it when it comes to this. And I don't know if anybody else has experienced that, but this is from my own point of view.
Yep. I can respond to that. There's confusion. Sorry, Chocolate. I'm first.
No, go ahead. You're probably going to say the same thing I'm saying.
Right. There's still confusion as to what you're even supposed to be seeing up there. And hey, there's confusion for us too. There's indications that stars may be disappearing from sight altogether when you go up really high with the balloon footage, some of it. So yeah, they don't know for sure even what to assert there, because NASA has given conflicted testimonies about what's sighted up there. So yeah, they don't know.
You're absolutely right.
They don't know what to make of it.
No, I agree with you.
But here's the other problem, though, with that reference frame nonsense. Well, they're talking about, you could have infinite reference frames. Well, this is why they try so hard to get away from the mainstream. Because if you listen to Mr. Smoking the Grass Tyson, you have a reference frame with a football being kicked. You got two different reference frames right there, right? But they don't want that.
Nathan, Chocolate, please, can I ask you a question directly, Chocolate? Because that's a great answer. So if we went above the Earth, despite the coriolis, in spite of the Earth's rotation, right? Mathematically above all this things that they told us, we're in some sort of a unique inertial reference frame. Would we see? It would seem to me that the zodiac itself would not move, but the Earth would be moving, right? So if we're ever in some sort of geosynchronous orbit, we would never see the zodiacs ever move from the position that they're at. Now, no glober ever wants to admit that that's actually what's happened. They want to do some weird fucking gymnastic stunts, apparently. That's all I've ever known.
That's the problem, because they assert. I mean, even with the sunrise, right? They tell us, oh, we know the Earth's moving and spinning because sunrise and sunset. Okay, so when I leave the ground, why is the sun still moving away from me? Two things should happen when I leave the
fucking
ground.
Reference
the things
frame.
in the sky. Hold on. Two things should happen when I leave the ground. The things in the sky should stop moving, and the ground should start. If there are two reference frames, that's what should happen every time you leave the ground, and it never does.
Yeah,
because we only have one reference frame.
They need 15 degrees an hour deviation, and I think the point you're making, Sinclair, is that if you were to launch a drone by way of their claim, then you should see the stars stopping from the footage of the drone, and from the ground you should watch the drone drift away from you at 15 degrees an hour, coincidentally the same rate that they say the stars are being caused to look like they're moving because you're turning underneath them. They're effectively static, you're moving underneath, causing the apparent rotation. Well, if that's the case, then a drone's going to drift away from you and the stars aren't going to move for the drone, but the ground will drift away from it underneath. In the case of the equator, it'd be drifting away at 1,000 miles an hour.
That's exactly my whole fucking point. And that's the whole problem, that when you ever get in these arguments, you find yourself in the exact same situation that Nathan said and Chocolate said. Because there is an end goal, you can only have some sort of logical conclusion. And their logical conclusion is dumbass. Okay? So, like, I don't know why they're telling me anymore.
Wouldn't their, like, argument be just that there's more than two reference frames and that you're, like, in between the stars, which are, you know, infinitely far away?
Do not white knight.
And the Earth.
You would be surprised how dumbass their shit actually is.
Well, they might make that argument, yes, but their argument as a standard is to say that we have a 15 degrees an hour deviation as Earth rotates underneath. So when they say there's an infinite number of reference frames, who cares? The only reference frame that's relevant to Coriolis effect is the one that's turning that you're observing things from. They claim that's Earth. Therefore, on a spinning Earth, we should see things drift away from us at 15 degrees an hour, and we do not.
So please, Nathan, that being said, holy shit, why would anybody disagree with that? Literally.
Try not to swear.
Pickle Rick, we have, like... You're right, you're absolutely right. Why? Okay, so if you're logically making sense, it's frustrating in the sense that if you're trying to communicate these facts, why would anybody logically disagree? Can we hear anybody? Why would you disagree?
They wouldn't. They disagree on account of being brainwashed.
Well, I want to be fair, and I want to agree with everybody and say, like, okay, is there any sort of criticism to that?
Not agree, disagree.
I've not heard it. I'm not expecting you to hear it either. But
it's not an agree, disagree situation. That is just Coriolis effect, and they claim they've got it. So, we know what Coriolis effect is, 15 degrees an hour in the case of their claim, of us turning underneath stuff. That's their claim. Well then, just show it. Oh, you can't show it? Well then, roll on the arguments for about how we've got conservation of momentum rather than 15 degrees an hour drift proving Earth spinning. We don't have that. We just have arguments about why we don't have that. When that's the thing supposed to be proving we spin, we're supposed to have 15 degrees an hour deviation. And that's only caused by a reference frame that's spinning underneath another reference frame. That's precisely what they claim. Neil deGrasse Tyson says a ball gets kicked, seems to curve if you watch it from the stands, because you're rotating underneath it because Earth's rotating. But that would mean it's rotating under planes and drones and hot air balloons, but it doesn't. So that's the end of the argument. They obfuscate away by saying we can have as many reference frames as you want. Yeah, but the one that you need is the one that's spinning underneath stuff and you don't have it.
No, that's exactly right. Because there's no counter explanation to exactly what you just said. Because if you ever taken a physics math class in college, you're just describing things the way that they actually are. Okay? That's
You know,
easy.
it's one of those
Move on.
funny things, bro. This is how I got Kosho to say that hurricane winds 100% move in straight lines. Right? Does anybody know that hurricanes move in straight lines? Anyone ever heard that before? Has any glober even
No.
made that claim other than him? No,
No,
right?
but
Because
he
when I
needs to-
asked him why, from the inertial reference frame, does a hurricane still appear to rotate, even though you're saying the coriolis causes it? But the coriolis is an effect that we see from the rotating reference frame. But you're telling me it's causing the hurricane. So then why is it when I go into the inertial reference frame where the hurricane already is it still rotating? And he said in response, because he understood how fucked he was. I'm sorry, Nathan, my bad. But he understood how bad of a situation that was, that he said hurricane winds move straight. So you could have fun with that because I've never known hurricane winds to move straight. Those are actual winds with actual rotations. But he wants to conflate this apparent deviation that we see on a non-inertial reference frame with a rotating wind that we see in an inertial reference frame. It's the biggest nonsensical buffoonery ever, bro.
Exactly.
And they know it. They know it.
Yeah, once you appreciate what Coriolis is, not actual deflection at 15 degrees an hour, you appreciate that the reason you've got this effect is because it's claimed we're on a turning Earth observing things that aren't turning on the turning Earth. And when we observe them, they seem to drift away at 15 degrees an hour. That's the claim. That's what they say proves Earth spinning. But we don't have anything drifting away from us. You don't launch a drone and watch it drift away at 15 degrees an hour, even though Neil deGrasse Tyson says it happens with a football when it's in the air for a second and a half. But if that was the case, you'd look up at a plane and go, oh, look, it looks like it's drifting at 15 degrees an hour. It isn't. It's just because I'm turning underneath, because that's what's proving Earth spins. The plane seeming to curve at 15 degrees an hour. Now, if it's seeming to curve from your vantage point on a claim to be spinning Earth that isn't spinning, then you'd be spinning under the plane, shortening its flight time. And that does not happen. Because nothing's drifting away at 15 degrees an hour. You don't launch a drone on the equator and watch it zip away at 1,000 miles an hour. It just doesn't happen.
Actually, the plane would drift more than 15 degrees an hour if it was an altitude.
Still got a few more housekeeping questions. Any evidence of a self-perpetuating
Go on.
Yeah, I don't need permission. I just need you to shut up when I start talking. But thank you. Any evidence of a self-perpetuating molten iron core at the centre of a presupposed spherical Earth?
It all makes me think of marshmallows over fire.
Oh, gooey molten cores. By Cadbury. Any evidence of the R value? Earth radius?
They don't even have curves in their geometry.
No.
So how do you have a radius?
Right on, Flatzoid. It's the demolition of their argument. It's the end of the road for the globe. Black Swan. Where is it now? Nearly 9 months. This argument's been out. 9 months. You can produce a child in that time and there's still globers that don't get it. It's amazing, really.
That poor geometric horizon has been discarded. Thrown away like a redheaded stepchild.
Maybe a rendition of the argument. If the Earth is a sphere with a radius of 3959 miles, that would be the assertion that the Earth's a sphere. The P statement is your claim that the Earth's a sphere, fundies. Just in case anybody decides after this rendition of the argument that they're going to assert that their argument that the Earth is a sphere with a radius of 3959 is actually a straw man, because the answer to that will be welcome to flat Earth. Anyway, if the Earth is a sphere with a radius of 3959, as per the fundamentalist religious assertion claim that the Earth is a sphere with a radius of 3959, then every distance to horizon can be no more than 1.2 times the square root of the observer's height in feet. Now, the Black Swan demonstrate the horizon to be way in excess of 10 miles, when at 1.2 times the square root of the observer's height in feet at 1 foot observer height, it would be at 1.2 miles, and it's in excess of 10. Therefore, we do not see a geometric horizon. The horizon we see is not geometric. It's not a physical sphere edge. That only exists in the maths. The Earth is not a sphere. We do not have a geometric, physical sphere edge blocking boats and buildings in the distance, as per the rebuttal from the globe side based on those who may or may not understand the Black Swan argument. Quote, we wouldn't expect to see the geometric horizon. That would be Earth curve blocking boats and buildings. Or, the geometric horizon only exists in maths. That would be the physical obstruction of boats and buildings claimed in photographs. Isn't physical and geometric, that only exists in maths. So the rebuttal is essentially the concession that we don't see physical Earth curve edges blocking boats and buildings and capable of being measured to derive an R value giving you everything that the heliocentric model is based on. That would be the astronomical distances, that would be your Earth curve reification of a physical horizon. All of that is based on R, which means you need R, and you can't see a geometric horizon to get R. So no R, no heliocentric model, it's game over. That concludes the housekeeping at 47 minutes into the live show.
How about gas pressure?
Yeah, we covered it.
Okay.
Epic. We can have that little silence that happens after every conclusion of every housekeeping ever.
Are you sure we got the molten iron core too?
Yeah, we got the molten iron core.
Yeah, we did.
You want to revisit it?
I don't mind. We were talking about the Toffee
PNS waves.
Center.
What do you want to revisit, Arwen?
PNS waves, love it.
Has anyone bent time or space recently?
What,
not on my watch.
The old new hotness that is...
Not on my watch.
Yeah, maybe there's some confusion. Go on, Chocolate.
10 minutes before the show, I asked somebody was talking to me about tides and the moon and stuff, and I was just like, well, according to the mainstream narrative, the gravity is the bending and warping of space-time. So can you show me that? Then tell me how that would affect tides on Earth? And he just looked at me like I had 3 heads. I was like, well, that's not my fault, man. That's your story. Okay? This is your story. Space and time are bending somehow, causing things to fall. And he was just like, I'm not talking to you today. I was like, okay, talk to you later.
Yeah,
How could something non-physical,
that's their misapprehensions
do anything?
That's their misapprehension about what Einsteinian gravity is. That it's not some cause of things fall down, go boom, boom. It's an effect caused by the uneven distribution of mass, according to them in their mathematics of pseudo-Ramonian force space.
Which is bullshit.
But he thought it was a force.
Yeah, it's not.
It's just a fucking dumb idea of way of thinking about things, which we've debunked and we've moved on because Newtonian physics. You're right. I'm sorry. Okay, so listen. Newtonian physics had nothing to do with electromagnetism, had nothing to do with resistance, nothing. We threw that trash out because we knew things were better. I couldn't say what I wanted to say, but we'll wait till the after show because you just cannot defend this stuff because it's dumb. Please
try not to swear. Just during the live show.
I said stuff and things. It's a creative way of not swearing because these guys are
that sounds like polar arguments.
Because they don't debate,
stuff
maybe.
And things, reasons.
I only discourage the swearing.
I don't like people that just don't even discuss this quote-unquote stuff, but they want to have an opinionated point of view that don't ever even interact with flat earthers. No, I don't like that. It's just garbage. Why don't you talk to a flat earther and then hear a different point of view than other than the brainwashing you've been taught?
Did the 10th man ever get his turn?
Yeah, I was just about to say,
You are
10th man, and you now have your turn.
The 10th man's been waiting a very long time.
You're lucky if you're going to get a word.
I didn't forget. No, absolutely not.
Come on.
Well, I wanted to.
Go ahead, 10th.
He doesn't need permission.
I appreciate the
Sink cleanser, man.
I'm not giving permission.
Cleanses on. Good luck.
Let's try that again. 10th man.
At the
10th man.
At the beginning of the stream, you said, I don't know what the container is, but I know there's containment because we have gas
Your
pressure.
name's not 10th man.
Now, what if I said that?
10th man.
Sorry, go ahead.
Go.
Hello, can you hear us?
We'll try again. We will come back to you. Percent. Go ahead, 10th man.
No worries.
What a day! What a day! Yes,
We tried.
Gosh, when we present our arguments, we don't need to ask why. Why do they still not believe us after we take their arguments down piece by piece with logical precision? Forget the why. Not everybody, a few people are still concerned. Hey, how come they still don't believe after I do this and after they're beaten? Don't go to the why. Just keep your arguments strong. Watch as Chocolate said, the guy thought he had 3 heads when he asked that question because he lost. And now he's now got the battle and the pain in him or her. And Chocolate's sitting there calm because he had a logical statement and an argument to say about, that one topic. So when you go into someone and say, why after I beat them, they're not conceding, that goes to a lot of places. That's got to be answered by them and only by them.
Did you want to add something, Flatsoid?
I just wanted to ask if there were any globers on here. I wanted to ask them a question.
I don't know. Maybe.
Why the damn hell do I lose signal if there is satellites?
It's a SATA balloon. It's a SATA balloon, and it just moved away. That's why.
I mean, if you looked in the show alone, I've dropped like 10 times just because I lose signal.
See, when they show you pictures of a hurricane, as stated earlier, and they're in the inertial reference frame, and it's spinning. It's not a straight line, like Kosho says, right? Where's that picture being taken from? Is that the sky? Is just above the hurricane? Well, of course it is. But they're trying to tell you that's from outer space.
Right.
Sky vacuum next to gas pressure. Now, when you say that picture was taken from a place.
Hold on. Every time Flatsoid opens his mic, you might as well stop talking because he cuts everything you say. Go ahead, Flatsoid.
I'm sorry.
That's
I'm
okay.
just saying, can't those pictures come from planes and drones?
Yes.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
What reference frame are those planes and drones in?
Yeah, we only have one reference frame, other than begging the question and then justifying why we don't have the deviation that the 2 reference frames would give us, Chocolate. Percent. Exactly. Do you want to go ahead?
Yeah, sure. So I was saying in the beginning of the live stream, you had mentioned that, there is containment. You don't know what the container is, like whether it's a physical dome or what have you, but there is containment, and we know that because of gas pressure. So I think, I'd say the cause of gravity, that is to say the effect of things moving to their equal density, is the containment. True or false?
I don't know what the container is. None of us do.
Yeah, but I'm saying the cause of this effect is the container, is the containment.
No, what is gravity first?
Yeah, we must have containment. That I'll agree with.
No, I get this question. So what is gravity first? Define gravity before we proceed. Because you're saying...
All right, I did. I said the tendency of things to move to their equal density. That is the effect. The cause of which is unknown. They say it's mass attracting mass, bending space-time bullshit. Sorry. But it's unknown, and the true cause of it is the causing this containment.
How's gas pressure achieved?
gas pressure, how's it achieved?
Yeah.
By being contained.
By what? By the force.
The force
what,
exerted on the walls of the container.
Yeah, we don't know how it's working, but the fact that we have a pressure gradient
we do know
shows
how it's
that
working.
there's gradual containment as you go up, right?
It's not gradual containment.
How could you say we don't know how it's working?
We don't know what causes gravity.
There is no gravity.
We're not talking about gravity. We're talking about pressure.
I'm talking about the effect of things going to their equal density. So if we want to use a different term like downward acceleration, that's fine.
Is that their definition of gravity?
That's not gravity.
Their definition.
Yeah, that's not gravity.
Wait a second. Why didn't anyone stop him when he said gravity is the tendency to move to equal density? You didn't.
I'm talking about the effect.
I'm just doing that right now. Like, that's not their definition of gravity, bro.
I'm not using. I elucidated the definition. I said it's the effect of those moving towards. If you want to use a different word, that works too.
Is not gravity.
I did say
citation,
that.
Please.
Yeah, that's not gravity.
Okay, well, if you want to use a different word like downward acceleration, that's fine too. I'm just trying to make it simple, so I don't have to say that each and every time.
Downward. It's not downward though.
The vector. The point is, like, let's not get hung up on semantics. You guys know what I'm saying.
Oh no.
Semantics. Wait,
if you don't want to use the word like gravity, and you want me to say each time,
you're not going to roll
definition
past
is not
this.
semantics.
Is the definition of words. We are going to use.
I defined the word as I went along. Did I not?
Don't overtalk me.
Go ahead.
We are going to be concerned with semantics because semantics is the definition of terms. So you have to define the terms that you're using, son.
I did as I went along.
No, you didn't.
If you want to use a different term, that's fine too.
Didn't.
Different term and then define it.
Let's not get lost in this tangent.
Yeah, here we go, lost in semantics again. Go play your game in Romper Room. Not here.
Forget it. It's cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank
With
you.
that, I'm going to say, if you are watching on either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley Premiering streams, then stay tuned, as there will be an after show to follow. Unfortunately, if you are watching this live on Nathan Oakley 1980, this is where we bid you farewell. A huge, massive, enormous thank you to all of you smashed the super chat, liked, commented, shared, subscribed, and all that good stuff. Once again, stay tuned if you're watching on either Premiering stream. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I'll see you all in the next video.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
Anyway,
I have no idea.
I think you should have just used a different term. I definitely think you should have just said, finding its equilibrium, or because it's not just things that go down; things go up and down. So there's no real direction and stuff. You saying things go down is implying, that it's a force acting upon things. Whereas
no, but the thing is, I said tendency for things to move to their equal density, whether down or up.
Okay, before you go there, now that you're back, I was going back.
Hold on.
Three times.
In the conversation, shit. I'm just having a nice chat. What I heard was different. No, it come across more like you were saying, a downward, things falling downward, and it was more isolated rather than you didn't really kind of say, things that go up and down, the rate that they move at. You just kind of says, things that go down we call gravity. That's how it sounded to me.
No. For the sake of the conversation, I was trying to find, like, instead of having to say the tendency to move to equal density every time, I was trying to use a word, and I said if you want to use downward acceleration or any other word, that's fine. But like, just so we could be on the same page.
But your intention was good, obviously, but it didn't sound like that. That's what I'm saying.
We're not on the same page. It's not downward.
People take things at face value.
Moving to equilibrium isn't down. It could be up.
It's a relative direction.
It's not gravity.
But I'm saying that the fact that happens, the fact that there is a gradient, shows that there's gradual containment, right? So
What the hell is gradual?
What is gradual containment?
What is gradual containment?
Either containment or not containment. It's not gradual containment. I'm confused by that.
I think
because the gas is gradually being contained based on its, its weight.
Hold on,
its
let him
density
explain where
as you go up.
No, it's not. If you imagine a bottle garden, well, it's got the same thing going on. Various different gases at various different points in the bottle garden. But it hasn't got gradual containment, it's just contained in a bottle. But it's still got pressure gradients and all the other things on a micro scale. Same as we have on a macro scale. But it doesn't mean that each layer, because there isn't layers, so they're not individually contained, it's anisotropic, it's not layers.
Gas isn't layered?
No.
In the atmosphere?
Inhomogeneous.
What about oxygen, being thin at, top of Everest?
Yeah, it's still all mixed up.
As
still all mixed up. Yeah, it's still mixed.
Gases,
it's not a layer of oxygen at the top. It's mixed up together. It's a dynamic system, all mixed up, not in layers, not uniform.
I'm sure there's, mixing in between, but
yeah, anisotropic.
The oxygen ends, the air thins out.
Do you know what anisotropic means? Or do you know what isotropic means?
Yeah, it means it's not. Yeah, it means it's not like kind of.
It's all mixed up,
homogeneous.
It's all mixed up. It's not homogeneous. It's not in layers. It's inhomogeneous. It's all mixed up together. So you're saying gradual containment? Well, no, not at all. It's working its way up. Some of it's bouncing back down. It's all moving in all vectors, all mixed up. Not gradual containment.
I wouldn't say it's perfectly isotropic either, though. Because the fact that there is no, oxygen as you go up shows that there is some sort of, it's not like a clear layering. There's obviously very mixed kind of borders of it.
Okay, but what
there is?
That's why you said it's
layering of the gas.
And isotropic. It's not isotropic. It's anisotropic.
Right, mixture. What's always proving though?
It's neither
okay, fine.
isotropic nor completely anisotropic.
But what's the point of all this?
Mixing in between.
This is very interesting. What is the point of all this?
I was just saying that the cause of gravity, whatever it may be, is the containment.
The cause of gravity?
That's my opinion.
The gravity doesn't exist. What gravity?
Again, okay, so the cause of the tendency for things to move to their equal density.
To their equal density?
The
equal density of their environment?
In my opinion.
Is that what you're saying?
Relative density theory.
To the equal density.
I didn't hear him.
Yeah, to their equal density.
To the equal density of their environment, not their equal density. That doesn't make any sense.
Yes, to the equal density of the gradient.
No, that makes even for me, right? That doesn't make sense, mate. That doesn't make sense at all. I know,
they'll move within the medium to their equal density.
But what's that got to do with the gradient?
Keep on repeating the same.
That
thing,
is what
Nathan.
the density
Nathan,
gradient
are you
is.
understanding what he's saying? Because I don't.
No, I don't. Now I don't understand.
Yeah,
I think the gradient's caused by the geobiochemical cycle.
Who cares what causes the gradient? Who cares? What is this proving or disproving?
Nothing. I was just saying how you guys would I asked true or false, whether you would agree with that statement.
With what
the
statement?
Cause of the gradient is the containment.
No, gradients are not containing anything.
Then the containment isn't the cause.
I didn't say the gradient is. I said the cause of it.
Yeah, it's not the cause of the gradient.
Yep.
To have gas pressure, you must have gas pressure contained, and to form a gas pressure gradient, you've also still got to be contained. But having a container doesn't cause a gas pressure gradient. That's not true.
I said that the gradient is proof of the containment.
Who gives a shit?
No, it's not.
He's saying,
how's it not?
He's
The
saying
gas
that gravity
pressure.
is the container. That in different words. That's what he's saying.
Gas pressure without a container is proof of the container. But then the gradient isn't caused by the container because you'd have equal pressure. What causes a gradient is the biochemical cycle. From what I know.
Check you out.
I didn't say a physical container.
Tommy,
I'm saying
kicking
containment.
butt,
It's
right?
gradual containment.
Tommy's
I
kicking
would agree
ass.
if it was a physical container. that it would be
Biogeochemical
more
cycle. Get it right.
mixed with therein.
Hold on a second. Did Tommy get it wrong?
No, he's on it. No, he didn't get it wrong.
Not according to
it's
Anthony.
Audio chaos, man.
He didn't say it right. He said the biochemical cycle. He needs to say the biogeochemical cycle.
Get out,
No, Gio,
Tommy.
sorry.
You failed us all.
3 syllables, man. Because if you get it wrong, they'll use it against you forever.
Is that a motorcycle that runs on
Gio.
animal waste?
Yeah, I wouldn't necessarily agree.
Anyway, percent. Go ahead.
Yeah. I said, like, what my piece. If you guys disagree,
No,
with it,
you
that's
got to
cool.
say your
But
piece again.
In my opinion, because the fact that there is a pressure and density gradient, it shows that there's this gradual containment of gases as you go
That's
up
not
and things as
right.
you go down. Obviously,
Gradual containment?
Hold on a second. You
yeah,
just went
because
over it.
it's
No,
it's cool.
no, it's either containment or it's not containment. There's no gradual containment.
How do you have the gradients in the
How
first
is there
place?
not?
You can't have that.
How
on
do you
an
know
open
that
system.
without knowing what the container is, or what
There's
the
a
containment is,
crossing
or
of
what the cause
wires in terms of
the cause
understanding
downward and upward.
Hold on, let me
He-
just explain to
he just
percent.
won't shut up.
Percent. What's happening here is there's a misunderstanding about what proves what, because they have a straw man rebuttal about a gradient. Now, that doesn't mean when we refute it by saying, well, without the container there can be no pressure. That's a delta of the gas pressure. It doesn't mean that the gas pressure gradient proves containment, in the respect that the gradient itself doesn't, the gas pressure does.
Okay. I'm not saying that the gas pressure proves. I'm saying it is containment, and I'm saying the cause of both of those is the same thing.
Yeah, you could say that. You can't have a gas pressure gradient or gas pressure without a container. Yes, correct.
Okay.
Now, can we all link hands and sing Kumbaya?
Alrighty then.
That was a right mess.
Yeah, because you got to get your terms and your phrases correct, or it's complete confusion. That's semantics. That's why we have to agree on terms. It's called the Socratic method. Because if you come out with all kind of terms, with all kind of incoherent cause connections, we're going to stop you.
No, see, that's not what happened.
That
What
is
happened
what
was because I
Yeah.
defined my terms as I
No,
went.
you
I was
didn't.
very clear. I
did. We got you on tape, clown
gravity-
show. Don't give us a
By
color
that, I mean-
commentary
Don't do it, man.
on the horse.
Don't do it. You were doing so well. Just
The issue
put it-
is
percent. You were doing so well. You just have to
We can
lay
get
down
back
and not
to
say
the
anymore,
clown,
and you
man.
won't get a
Let's
tongue
move on
lashing.
to the first and second laws of thermodynamics. Do you
The-
know what
the
the
issue
first law of
is
thermodynamics is?
that. Yo, relax.
Don't
The
tell me
issue
to
is
relax.
that
I'll
as
kick
soon
your
as
ass
I
out
said
of here.
gravity,
calm down. Everyone
the
calm down.
reflective hearing.
Percent.
Anyways,
Just,
it's cool.
he's asked a question. Do you know what the first law of thermodynamics is? Just yes or no, and if you do, yes, tell us what it is.
The first law is that the conversation of
Conversation. No, there's no
conservation.
talking.
Sorry, of energy.
No, but we're not talking. It's not conversation.
Conservation, man.
Starts
The
with energy.
conservation of energy. Yeah. Where does that apply at?
What does this have to do with
The
what we're talking
conserva-
about?
What we were talking about was a cluster screw of gaggle. Now we're into something specific.
No. it really
So the
wasn't.
first law of thermodynamics states the conservation, or it's the conservation of energy law, right? Where does that apply?
It's cool, man.
Yeah, you bet
I'm
you
not
it's
game
cool.
for this.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with what we're
Yeah,
talking about. I'm not going to be baited
I'm sure we'll
into
get to the point.
something
I'm sure we'll
that
get to
I
the
already
point.
know.
I'm sure we'll get to the point what you're talking about there.
Percentage.
I got to
just
my
want
point. I
point out,
said
bro,
that the cause
I think
of
the mistake
the
that
pressure
you made.
gradient is the same
Percentage.
cause of the containment.
Hold on, he's still trying to
They're
fight
one
his
and the
corner,
same.
chocolate. It's not
Yeah,
at the
cool.
contemplation
It's still
stage yet,
mean.
chocolate.
Percentage. The mistake you made, I think, was asserting that the container was the cause of gravity, and then you went ahead to define gravity in some specific way it's not defined as. Right? We try to get them to stick to their own rhetoric. We can't just change the definition of gravity on the fly like that.
Oh, come on, chocolate. It's
Right?
just semantics.
Yeah, yeah, that's what we're doing, man. Right? You can't do that, percentage.
No,
They're gonna come in here and tell us
I
that
said what it
gravity
was
is,
as
you
I was
know,
going
things
along.
moving
But
to their equal
the issue
density.
is they hear the word
You're
gravity.
talking over
Sorry,
each
go ahead.
other. By the way,
Yeah, chocolate. I was saying that I said it as a I defined it as I went. I was
no,
very
you
clear
didn't.
in
We
my
got it on
elucidation.
tape.
The
You're
issue
knucklehead.
is they hear
I
gravity.
get what you were
Like people
trying
hear
to
gravity.
do.
Flat earthers hear gravity, and they automatically
You're a
assume it's the
knucklehead.
globe Earth
You didn't define
definition
anything. You're
of
freaking on
causation.
crack.
Hey,
Can you
Gravity.
repeat
shut
that?
the fuck that for
Did,
like 30 seconds, please.
did you just
Jeez.
said that we hear gravity and we assume it's the globe thing? Of course it's gonna be. What else is gonna be gravity?
Gravity is the effect, man.
Which gravity?
Gravity. Shut the fuck up. I don't want to hear it.
What effect?
I do not want to hear this shit. I hear it all the fucking time. And he's a flat earther. I don't want to hear flat
listen.
earthers. Gravity.
Listen, stop your
Dumb.
cussing and let the guy speak, because we're getting somewhere, because he's telling us where his belief system lies. Now, I asked them to define gravity, so please go back to me asking you, please define gravity the way you see it. Let's see if it stacks up.
Sure thing. Gravity is the effect of things moving towards their equal density.
I told you backwards.
That's
Circle
it.
jerking us.
We agree with all people, whether they're flat earthers or globe earthers, agree on the effect. The issue is the contention is as to the cause of it, the presumed cause. They say it's mass attracting mass or bending of space time. But in terms of the effect, we agree.
Oh God, man!
Shut up!
Less talking, more listening.
Jerking us back to the same damn thing.
Percentage. When a helium balloon is rising, would you call that it seeking its relative density? Would you call it something like that?
Yes.
Not gravity.
Would the ballers call that gravity?
No, they wouldn't.
There you go.
Well, there you go.
That's the point.
That's not gravity then. Like we keep telling you, you've just made it up. You've decided to define it as you want to define it.
Now, if you want to say something else, call it something else. Relative density.
I'm cool with calling it something else. I was saying
freaking unicorn farts. It doesn't matter. But
sorry, go
when
ahead.
you
Stop
use that
fucking
word
saying
gravity,
How about that? Pick a different word. Articulate yourself in a different way other than saying gravity, which has been debunked. If you're a flat earther, I don't want to hear it, please. Thank God, I don't need to hear that anymore.
No, you're gonna hear it.
I don't want it. I don't want to
Okay,
hear it.
go on mute. Go on mute. Don't listen. I don't want to hear it, because this is getting somewhere.
Oh God!
Listen, there's little g, which is commonly called gravity, right? Colloquially called gravity, little g.
No,
that is the downward acceleration or upward, whatever. It's the movement between in the relative density.
It's not. Little g is not gravity. No.
Yeah.
What?
You're a fucking idiot. Stop saying it, please.
Who's so triggered by this guy? Who's that? Is that Babs?
Stop being triggered.
Who's
Tell me what F equals mg is.
That bullshit equation that has nothing to do with reality, and you're mad.
Cleanser, you said you don't want to hear it, but you keep talking.
You're mad.
Just go on mute.
You're parroting. You're reciting to me things I don't want to hear.
So your game plan is to just completely avoid the word instead of reappropriating it correctly to what it actually is.
How about you stop telling me these things and figure shit out on your own? I don't want to hear it anymore.
Sin cleanser, you're gonna hear people talk about gravity. I know you don't want to hear it from a flat earther, but like that.
I just flat earther even kills me more.
I know it kills you, but
no flat earther.
I know. I heard you the first time, but the thing is, it's something that needs to be discussed, and we shouldn't not discuss it, because that just means like, we don't want to hear it. Sounds more childish, really.
I don't want to ignore it either.
What's up with you getting triggered over this, Sin Cleanser? What's going on?
Yeah, what's going on?
I do not want to ignore it, but I do not want to have flat earthers.
Sin Cleanser, are you inebriated?
Saying bullshit about
gravity.
You drunk? All right. I just don't want to hear it.
Are you slightly tipsy today?
Clear, but percentage, I think you've got to stop addressing it. I do agree with him to a point.
Just fuck off.
All right,
dude. F equals mg shows you that it's the effect.
You're a fucking idiot.
Could you put a sock in it and percentage, right? Right, at the end of the day, I do think you should address it differently. I do think you should say the downward force or the speed of it going down, not even a force, but just the rate that we see things fall. Just that's good enough.
I don't. I think the term has been hijacked by globe earthers to mean the cause, when really it's describing the effect, as in like F equals mg, force equals mass times gravity. You could also say force equals mass times acceleration. But little g has been like appropriated to be the cause, when it's actually the effect.
You're not really listening to people, are you? Because I'm trying to explain something to you and you're just babbling on. Well, I'm trying to explain that you should just address it as something that, the rate that we see things, when some things go down, some things go up. We're addressing the speed at which some things go down. You don't need to start going gravity, m times tau, 4 times this. Like, that's unnecessary. That's the globe way of dealing with things and calculating things. It's not the way that you should be describing something completely unbiasedly from. You're looking at it from a very independent situation. You're not looking at it from the way that you look at it with maths and subsiding it to gravity. We're just going to call it a force that, the speed that things that fall, the rate that things that fall, and the rate that things go up. And then now continue your conversation that you don't need to keep going gravity m times 4. Do you get what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, no, I get what you're trying to say. You're trying to say completely abandon the term, and I'm saying reappropriate the term. Control the term, because it's being used wrongly. They hijacked it. I'm saying take it away from them.
That's all I had to say.
Yeah, but in the middle of
and
that,
the fact that it's used that way in the math,
hold them to task, right? We have to hold them to task on what they're claiming. How many times have you heard somebody bring up gravity, and I just come in and say, "What's gravity?" Because you got to get them to define it. How are you going to use use the word and take it to try to flip it into what you think it is?
Yeah, but then they'll come with
because
these
then
equations.
In the same
like
conversation later, you can't tell them, well, what their idea of gravity is wrong. Get me?
They'll come at you with the equations like F equals mg and show and conflate how the effect is the cause because it's using the same word.
Okay,
but that's their problem that they have to deal with, and we hold them to task on that. It's them that are scrambling to decide whether they're going to argue today that gravity is a force.
Guys, Chocolate's in the middle of a sentence. I can hear 10th man talking over him. I can hear Tommy talking over him. Just need 10th man to actually get to, not 10th man, Chocolate to get to the end of his statement before everyone else starts talking through him. Go ahead, Chocolate.
Yeah, I'm just saying that it's their problem that they have to now decide whenever they get into one of these arguments, whether they're going to argue that gravity is the cause or gravity is the effect. If it's a force or if it's the bending of space-time. That's their problem. That's not us for us to now redefine the word. So, right, to give them now, you guys are saying gravity is this, that, and the third. Well, it's not our claim. Right. I understand what you're trying to do, Percentage. I get it. But it's just for this conversation, especially here, it's just not going to work that way. It can't, because then it gets all confused and convoluted.
Okay, 10th man.
It's like saying all lives matter. Now, all lives do matter.
Tommy, hello? Tommy, all you're doing is causing audio chaos in Discord. Go ahead, 10th man.
I totally agree with what Chocolate said. I was going to say words mean things. So when you use gravity, obviously that to some group of people that's a force, and then to another group of people it's an effect. So you can't use a word that isn't even clear as to what it is in the circles that they are being used. So you can't use that word in a different way, because now you're doing what they did, saying it's a force when it's not a force, it's an effect when it's supposed to be a force. So it's a wrong usage of a word to have 3 different meanings, a violation of the law of non-contradiction.
Right, you're creating an equivocation fallacy by trying to redefine it with your own.
That's cool.
Okay, Tommy, go ahead.
That's cool, but at the same time, within the same sentence, I said what I meant to say. So they would have just said, okay, that's not the best term to use, but to address what you said, that would have been cool. But the issue is they don't you guys didn't do that for the most part during the live stream.
What is the claim? What are we even
in any
about?
case, let me just say this to wrap it up on this. I'm not fussed what word we use. I don't give a crap. And in terms of actually when we're talking about the math, I say F equals MA personally. I try to
ignore everything that everyone just said. Ignore everything that everyone just said. Okay, Percentage. Ignore everybody in this room that's just said what to not redefine the terms. Go on.
Fair enough. But don't say shit, please.
Don't say shit. That's good.
We're in the after show now.
But don't
Only
say
during
shit
the
we
live
don't
show, though.
believe. Just be honest. And we believe some specific things. Just don't talk garbage.
Don't talk garbage.
What are you
That's
talking
really
about,
good. I love the complete, unambiguous nature.
Yeah, thanks for the clarity.
Okay, come on, Kiwi. You
It's
know
nice
what I'm
that you're
saying,
concise as
please.
well.
I don't want any clown fucking articulating a full sentence just because they did it. I want to hear actual good science that is backed up by
Why don't you snort the next Jack
please.
Daniels instead of drinking?
Thank you,
Are you
percentage.
challenging
Percentage.
me?
I do have just one last question. Just one last question for you, percentage. What were you hoping to
Yes,
achieve
sir.
with that discussion? What was the objective?
I just want you guys to change my mind as to the cause of the pressure gradient being the cause of that movement to equal density being the
Yeah, thank you.
Containment.
Okay. Yeah, maybe mutter and blabber on about the next statement, which, yeah, I got it. Thanks. Okay, because that proves or disproves what exactly?
Nothing.
So who gives
We don't have
shit?
information to
What
say
a
if it
complete
proves or
waste of
disproves
time.
anything. I just want
So
to
who
see your guys'
cares?
opinions
Why
on
are
that.
you still talking? So that proves or disproves nothing. Therefore, was a complete waste of time then.
If you say so.
Mumble.
Was he simply trying to inquire the cause of relative density? Yeah, we don't know.
You could
There's
just
no-
Should
fuck
be a law.
off. How about that?
This should be a law. This is the bottom line, right? Arwin's absolutely spot on. We're not going to establish the cause of this, right? That's the facts of the matter. But it does do it always. It should just be described as a law of nature. It isn't. We've got a lot of bullshit about gravity instead. None of it that makes sense. So that's what we've got.
Yeah, and maybe one day we can reappropriate the word gravity to what it should mean, right? Or
Good white.
what we think it should mean. But right now, currently, we're in a war. We're in a serious argument with these guys about these words, which is why they all the time say, "Oh, it's semantics." So when a flat earther says the same thing, it's like, that doesn't give me a good taste in my mouth for that, bro. You get that?
Yeah, sorry. This is why I want to say this percentage. It does remind me of like all lives matter. I mean, obviously all lives do matter, but you don't say that shit because it just basically causes confusion between what people are trying to mean by that word. Obviously, we can all agree all lives matter, but we don't say that because it's just.
Can you not
pointless.
say that here? Sorry, only Black Lives Matter. What's wrong with you?
Exactly.
I never said that.
I said it. Look, you want to get kicked out?
Only flat,
And I affirm it.
Flat lives matter.
I'm a
So do
proud
you
black
guys
man.
agree
and-
or disagree with the statement that the cause of the relative density is the cause of the containment? That
Do
the
you
same
mind
cause.
not interrupting my
You can't
semi-racist
prove
joke?
that because you can't very manipulate that cause, so it's untenable.
When you end that statement with the cause of containment, that's weird. Because the
where
container
you
is
fail.
the cause of containment, right?
I'm saying it's not necessarily a physical dome type of thing. Like we don't know what the cause of the relative density is, so we can't say.
I don't know if it's a
sort of
dome.
fashion
I know it's
container it is.
contained. Whatever is containing us is containing us. I don't know what it is. I don't make any assertion to what its shape is, right? If I say dome, that brings a certain shape to somebody's head. Well, I don't know what the shape of whatever it is. So I won't say dome.
We should move
but
on.
It's definitely containing us.
Dumb.
Can I ask percentage a question?
Of
The
course.
percentage. What is the root word? What is the root word that gravity is taken from?
If I had to guess, gravitas. I don't know.
Ding ding
Good.
ding for
You really
3
care
points.
what he
mean?
thinks?
Let's show him what he's won.
Jesus Christ.
Hey, quit blaspheming and go snort your cocaine or whatever you've done. My goodness.
Can I
What
hear
an
me now?
interruption you've been.
Hello?
Ha!
Ha!
Nobody's snorting
Anyway,
cocaine.
It means weight, right?
Okay.
Percentage. Does it mean weight?
I assume so.
Well, no, this is why words
Gravitas
mean
means
things. So
weight.
is gravitas mean weight?
I don't know.
Yes.
Yes, I'll answer. Yes.
Okay, yes. So now how now
told you,
if gravitas
man.
is weight, and the pseudoscience world took the word for weight and came up with gravity and made it a force or an effect, does that word even belong in the way they're trying to spin it?
No, it doesn't. That's why I'm saying we have to reappropriate it, because they're making the effect the cause.
Okay, so if you're going to reappropriate
is to the cause.
gravitas, hang on, you've said it, it's clear. So if you want to reappropriate it, correct them, and the root word is weight, and you want to use gravity to say weight, how does that fit in the argument you were making with your density tower?
I don't know if gravitas means weight. I've never heard it used in that way. I know it's
Why don't you look it up? You got a computer
very
in front of
seldomly
you.
used
Just
word
look
for
it up and get back.
something that has a lot of like importance.
Weight.
But
something that has a lot of weight to it. Yeah, that's what gravitas means. Yeah.
That's a different definition for weight.
Hang on. A synonym would be seriousness or danger or an emergency. Okay, but we're not talking about that. We're talking about, like, I'm not saying, look at the gravity of this situation. That isn't talking about a force when I use it that way, is it?
No.
Okay, so see how that word is misused just about something serious? Why not just say, wow, look at the seriousness of this situation? Why do I have to use the word gravity of this situation?
Yeah, but do you think that the word is just going to stop being used?
Yes.
Arwen, say that
We're
again.
going to force it.
Because the word was culturally appropriated.
Right.
Which is what percentage is doing.
Right. So I have a response to his stance, like, "Ooh, we got to get gravity back." Yeah. I used to think like that. And I still actually believe that gravity still was a force, or that it was misunderstood. But yeah, I've come to the conclusion, well, not only that it really doesn't exist and it's not a force, whatever it's supposed to be, it's relative density. That explains all the phenomena that we see out there that have been equated with gravity, culturally appropriating them, basically. But yeah, it's no use. You can't do this because the word has just become too polluted, too convoluted. You can't rebuild it. First, you have to get all the pollution out of the way, the misunderstandings, the nonsense. And then afterward, when the bottoms calm down, then you can try to graft it back in some sensible way. But as long as all this nonsense is going around, there's not going to be a redefinition. It's just going to add to the chaos.
Yeah,
we beat it out of him.
I agree that.
We beat gravity out of him. We're going to beat it out of you, too.
After, when everything like settles down, we could just show that gravity is, the word that they used gravity wrongly is relative density.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, go ahead.
Just wait. Just wait.
No, not wait, not W-A-I-T, W-E-I-G-H-T.
Yes, correct. Quantum eraser. That's just wait.
Yeah.
So saying it's actually relative density disequilibrium, or something of that nature, is to create a new equivocation when one isn't required.
Well, Mole Man said, can I ask a question? You said, just wait.
Oh, yeah. My bad, Mole Man. Different weight. Go ahead, Mole Man. Go ahead, my bad.
I still weigh something. And I said boom, boom.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that, hey, Mole Man, just before you go, and just right there, that proves everything we're saying. Wait and wait.
Okay, then. Go ahead, Mole Man.
Yeah. So
I think Arwen said it best, man. It's just a polluted
Mole Man. Mole Man.
Mole. Yeah, so with gas pressure, like if I have like a scuba tank and I have air in there, would you say that the pressure is equal to all of the walls of that container?
In a scuba tank? Yeah, I'd say so.
Can it then have weight? Can it have more weight with more air because the pressure that's pressing down is equal that's pressing up?
The weight? You're using two different terms now. What do you mean weight? It's calculated with
Put it on
pressure.
a scale.
You're talking through me, my friend. It's calculated with pressure. That's how you calculate it.
Calculate what?
How much is in there, for example, if you're talking about a scuba tank. They don't necessarily stick it on a scale. They calculate how much pressure there is in the tank.
Yeah, and the more pressure you have, the more weight it has.
Sorry, and that's what they do, is it? They stick a scuba tank on a bathroom scale to weigh how much gas you've got? Or do they just work out how much pressure there is in the tank?
Nathan, when you go buy a gas tank, do you buy it by kilograms or by pressure?
Yeah, you buy it by kilograms. What's the point?
No, I'm in agreement with you, but I was saying that they sell it as kilograms.
Yeah, but what's the point? What does that prove or disprove?
No, it just goes to show that, like, if you have, the more pressure you have, and if the pressure is equal to every direction, then the weight shouldn't change. It should be the same.
Weight? What's weight?
My question still stands. What is this proving or disproving? What's your point, Mole Man? What's this proving or disproving?
Well, it sort of goes to show that gases have weight, even though they're pressurized.
Yep.
Yep. How do you weigh a gas?
Sorry, and what's that prove or disprove?
No, it doesn't prove anything. It just shows
Who
that,
gives a shiny shite then?
There's more pressure down than.
Sorry, who cares? Did you not hear me? Proves nothing. Who cares?
Yeah.
Hello.
So we carry on this conversation for another 10 minutes, proving nothing, disproving absolutely nothing. No, let's not.
Well, it shows that gas is.
Yeah, let's not.
More down than
Let's not. Let's not.
Okay.
Thank you.
Can I say something, Nathan?
You go ahead, Brian.
Thanks. Hey, Nathan. Hey, everybody.
Hey.
Old man thinks that because there's more weight, it means there's more of a downward vector going on inside the tank. Because there's more weight.
Pressing down more than up.
Weight
It's
is a
mostly
derivative.
down.
Yeah.
No, it's pressing down more than up.
All right.
Weight is a relative derivative, so it doesn't really matter, you know?
You're saying you can do that with a scuba tank. Can you do it without a container?
No.
So space is fake then, because the gas would fill the availability of volume if the sky was a vacuum, because gas expands in all directions. Obviously, if there's a tank around it, then it's pressing on the walls of the container, regardless of your misapprehensions about mostly down go boom boom. Without the container, however, the gas would fill the sky vacuum. So space is definitely fake then, because you can't have gas pressure without a container. And your idea of a sphere Earth in a vacuum has no containment. Therefore fake.
Well, it's pressing mostly down, go boom boom.
No, it's not. It expands in all directions.
No. Okay, so even if it was pressing in every direction,
Is he actually saying that?
it wouldn't change what's the numbers on the scale.
I mean, if you
because the container is housing that, and the container is, all the weight is going down.
Yeah.
Just like if I'm like on one leg, but my arms are spread and everything, all the weight is going on that one foot.
Yeah, but
Okay, and how about the helium balloon? How about the weight of that? It's going in the other direction. You have to.
I know what he's saying.
You have to stick it to
the
scale with a string.
Hold on, go ahead, Brian.
I know what he's saying. What he's saying, Nathan, is because if you have more pressure in the tank, that means there's more gas in the tank. So the whole tank, if you weigh the tank with the gas in it before you put the extra pressure in it, and you weigh it after you put the extra pressure in it, the tank itself, with all the contents, would weigh more.
Okay, and
That's what he's saying.
I used to drive a forklift. I used to get deliveries for the propane tank, and when we got the delivery, the propane tank was heavy as shit. And by the time the forklift is done with the propane tank, you take it off the forklift, and it's light as hell. Yeah, you can weigh it, but it's got to have a container.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that.
So how are you going to get this extra weight forced into the non-containment of a globe Earth in a vacuum? At what point do you manage to force all the air into a given area? Well, you don't, because there's no containment, so there's no lid. You just expand into the vacuum. So space is fake still. This little non sequitur was proving nothing, disproving nothing. But useful that we can use it to point out how fake space is, because without the container, in this case a scuba tank, there'd be no pressure. Without that scuba tank, the gas would just expand in all directions. So you need the tank. And Earth would need a container around it to have gas pressure at all.
Yeah, you need the tank. The tank will transfer that weight from every direction to the downward, to the scale.
Yeah, I've got a thought experiment I wanted to share with you. Basically, the ball is apparently a surface, right? So you got, and they to try to explain it by using centrifugal force in the bucket. We've all heard that one, I'm sure. So, what I'd like the ballers to do is to go inside a vacuum with an open surface, like a plate, put some centrifugal force on that plate inside of a vacuum, and show me a gas gradient on that by trying to reenact their force with the centrifugal force. And maybe spin a plate, put a bit of gas on it, and see if it will stick inside of a vacuum.
Yeah, it's not.
Yeah, well,
so
I've been hearing you run around with this centrifugal force thing. Pretty funny, Tommy.
Centrifuge will actually cause a gradient, but that gradient will never run up to a vacuum. That's
hold
impossible.
on, Mole Man.
Yeah,
they were speaking for you. You wanted to speak. You went on mute. Go ahead.
Yeah, I don't know. It sort of wasn't answered because we went to the sky vacuum immediately.
Yeah, that's the point of the show.
The point is just if there's equal pressure in the container and it's pressing the bottom equally as the top, then it shouldn't have more weight the more pressure it has, because the force would be equal.
Yeah, you're getting mixed up with weight, right? Within the convention, weight is what?
Which convention? Our convention?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's mass times acceleration.
The downward vector of gravity.
We're going to go down now?
Yeah, weight is gravity in your convention. That's what he's getting at.
Yeah, it's gravity.
Yeah, that's the problem.
Right.
Yeah, but
the point is that weight in every direction is housed, and that container is transferring it down to the center of gravity, for lack of a better word, to the scale, that downward weight. It's converting it from weight in every direction to downward weight because of the tank.
It's always been the problem. We've been sidestepping it we've dealt with it, but it keeps on coming back up. I think everyone's confused, and maybe we ought to have a show just discussing that.
Well, I can sum it up in one sentence. When globeheads say weight, they are invoking gravity. End statement.
Yeah, that's what I know. That's what I hear.
Well, sorry, yeah. But then again, the relative density doesn't sort of make sense to me, because if I invert the density gradient, things don't go up.
This is where the confusion.
What?
Comes in, man.
Yes, they do.
Wait, say that. I'm with Arwen on the what? Say that again, moment.
If you invert the density gradient, the directions don't change. So how are you proposing to do
hold on. Let him repeat it. Go ahead, Mo Man. Say that again.
Okay, so if I have something in the air and it goes towards the higher density that's closest to its own density, then if I invert the gradient so that there's higher density air above the object, it doesn't go up, it still goes down.
Yeah, this is just the
imagine a balloon with air in it.
Rehash. I see where he's going.
And then pump helium into that balloon with air in it, right?
Yeah.
It'll go up.
Why?
Because you're decreasing the density.
Okay, but if I have a rock,
so you have air in it, and you make it a balloon with half air, half helium, and then increase the helium, and you'll see it go up. So it's exactly contrary to what you were saying.
Am I in the Twilight Zone?
If I have a rock,
what's going on? What does this prove or disprove?
I don't know.
The relative density.
This is down to
relative density is a law, bro. You're not going to disprove.
I don't think they
One second,
get
sorry.
density.
There's two problems here. One is the definition of weight, defining what weight is, and secondly is a misunderstanding of what relative density equilibrium is. I find on the globe earth side, and even on the flat earth side, but especially on the globe earth side, there's so many people that just do not understand it.
Yeah, I completely agree. And with that, I'm going to say a huge, massive, enormous thank you, first and foremost, to both Discord and G+ panels for making today's after show possible. And of course, a massive thank you to all of you in either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley Programming streams for hopefully smashing the super chat, liking, commenting, sharing, subscribing, and all that good stuff. Be sure to check out nathanoakley.com and the Flat Earth Debate Forum to keep up to date with the community debate. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I'll see you all in the next video.
What a day! What a lovely day!